And we are live. Hello, everyone. Good evening and a warm welcome to MUFC Red Devils NCR. This is your host, Delvin, and I'm joined with two new gentlemen. I'm joined with Saim Bhai, and making his debut on our channel today is Joshua. Joshua, good to see you, big bro. I hope you're doing well. And how's everything going, Joshua?
All cool, man. All cool. Now that you're here, we are all good.
All right. So the new year started the same way that we ended the previous year, with a convincing win and with 3 points, which not only helps us consolidate the grip on our spot in the top four. It also gets us closer to the chasing pack as far as the teams above us are concerned, as well as it also helps us to set the momentum well for one of the most important months as far as our season is concerned. So let's first of all let's get your reactions on the win yesterday. Saim bhai, what was your thoughts on the performance yesterday? As professional as they come, we took care of the business that we had to take care of, and there were some hiccups along the way, but overall it was a rather convincing performance. What do you make of it?
Yeah. So what I made of this performance was we were not as convincing as we want to be. We were not, going for the kill, but we controlled the tempo of the game, and we just we needed a 3 points, and we were up to it. We were up for the task. That's what I take away from the game.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, 3 points was the necessity and it was the need as far as our journey to the top four was concerned. With that being said, Joshua, who according to you were the top performers in the game last night? So there were a lot
Yeah,
of performers to pick up from, but
yeah.
who according to you stole the show? Yes, last night.
Has to be sure, man. He's been on some crazy form. I don't know how, but like Sayam was saying that it's not looking convincing for us. Like yesterday wasn't looking very convincing, and somehow still to come out after that with 3 goals with like a team that is like Maguire coming back into the team, everything like changing and all, and like Van de Beek starting instead of Bruno starting on the wing and all that, but still we like got 3 goals in spite of whatever happened. So like that is like when that luck is on your side, like when you're like also not, you may not play well, but you would also still end up as like the winners on the table. So that was beautiful, and Shaw has been in some crazy form. Like I'm a Shaw fan, so it was brilliant to see like him doing that.
I mean, Shaw's resurgence is there for everyone to see. I mean, everyone in and around Man United knew the obvious talent that he had while we bought him when he was a teenager. But injuries and then I think overbearing managers, you could say, it did not, unleash him. And then I think in the past 2 or 3 years, we are seeing a much better, much mature edition of Shaw, and I think under Ten Hag it's finally unleashed, and it's coming at a time where he's just entering his peak years as a footballer. He's only 27, which means if he continues this form, I think we could see him go somewhere. As far as potential is concerned, he could just go to that next level, which always is the case for players like Shaw. Same by we have Rohit Bhai saying Maguire in behind Casemiro is different gravy. So let's talk about Maguire. I mean, I think this was his first start in quite a while, and as far as I'm concerned, I think he had a pretty composed game. I mean, Bournemouth did have willing runners in Philip Billing, Dominic Solanke, and even Jadon Anthony from the wing. And I think Maguire did more than a decent job. Yes, there was one shaky moment where he kicked the ball out for a corner. But apart from that, I did not see anything for me to give a big cause of concern. So, do you think that this is a good return and much needed 90 minutes for Maguire as far as the second half of the season is concerned?
Yes. See, yesterday as I was, uh, putting my views up because we need every player to be match fit for what games and how fast the games are coming in as we are going into the season, because we have EFL, we have FA, we next month we will have the EL also starting, so we will need that squad depth and every player to be match fit. So Maguire yesterday, he played good. He is just short of confidence. The nervous moments which we saw was just lack of that confidence which he has usually. rest assured that he will be fine. He can put out the shift, and he can just give us the games that the number of games that we want, if our first choice players are not available. So yeah, it was a fine game for him.
Yeah. So even I was very happy, to see Maguire get a full 90 under his belt and come out of the game with minimal mistakes. Because I think in yesterday's stream while we were talking, we spoke about Bournemouth being both sides of the same coin. I mean, they either score in clusters, and when they don't score, they just go on a goal drought of biblical proportions. I think yesterday Bournemouth. The yesterday's goalless game also meant that Bournemouth have gone 5 consecutive games without scoring a goal. And Mojo sir yesterday told that the only way that would change last night is if Harry Maguire was not on top of his game. And I think after last night's performance, I think safe to say he was on his game, not on the top, but I think he was somewhere there in the middle, just enough to get the job done yesterday. So Joshua, another player who got a start after so long, I think, was Donny van der Beek. I think, do you recognize him? Do you know that he plays for our club? I mean, because everyone knows the last time that he was actually playing was in Everton when he was on loan. But I think this was only his 6th start in the 2 years that he's joined us. So that says a lot about how hard it has been for him to get starts in this United side. Unfortunate for him, I mean, the poor guy cannot catch a break at this moment. I think he was, up until the point where he did get injured, it was not a bad performance actually from him. What did you make of his performance? And what do you think? On the looks of it, the injury does look serious. So Rohit bhai, as of now, there is no update on Donny's injury status so far. Ten Hag himself went to say that they'll need at least a minimum of 24 hours until they come up with a diagnosis. So until now, we all are in the dark as to what is the extent of his injury. But based on the replays, I think it looked bad. His leg did land out a very awkward angle. So Josh, what did you make of Donny's performance up until the point that he was injured?
Honestly, though, see, I like Donny. So I'm biased towards him. I also met him when he was down at Goa, and I saw him such a cool dude. He was so relaxed. He's not one of those players that you would he's playing for United. He's a big prospect, who's come from Ajax and everything also. But he wasn't one of those guys that would have that ego or whatever it is. So I was very impressed with his attitude as such. Even when that's not a place where you would want to be what you are, humble, when you have fans cheering for you, whatever it is. So even then, and I honestly think he had a very decent performance from his standards, and he was playing in the position that he favors also, which is not the case that happened with him under Solskjaer, or even when he was at Everton. He wasn't playing that probably that number 10 role. So happy to see him. Hopefully he can come back and give us the performance that we need. But I don't think it's that easy to possibly get him to write him off as of now. I think we have people before him, for example, even Maguire. When you all were talking, I was thinking that whatever said and done, do you think we need Maguire only for FA and EFL? I don't think possibly he's the one that would be shipped out possibly before Van der Beek, because Van der Beek I think is very happy with the squad role as such. But yeah, maybe a loan deal for him and Elanga might change their fortune. But at a good club, not Everton, hopefully, again.
Yeah, so it's a rather cool point you put about Maguire, So while the World Cup was going on, I read an article in The Guardian about Maguire being much more suited to tournament football rather than a long stretch of a league football, for example. Now, you said that do we keep Maguire as a centre-back where we only use him in cup competitions? I think based on that article, I think that would be a pretty good shout. Because A, he does get to play the entire 90 in those tournament games, all right? And B, because there is much more significance attached to a tournament. Because if you make one mistake, you know that you're out. There are no do-overs, there is no another game or we go again sort of nonsense. So maybe that is the reason that keeps Maguire on top of his game every time as far as international tournaments is concerned. So who knows if you could keep him as a specifically tournament defender, that could work as well. But then I think your point holds weight that he could be the one most likely to be shipped out. Either he or Lindelof from defense, but let's see what happens. That's a question for another summer, the upcoming summer maybe. So I think let's move on. Saim bhai, what do you make of the total performance? I mean, if you had to rate the performance out of 10, what would you rate it? Because Ten Hag himself wasn't happy with the performance, in spite of the fact that he did reserve praise for the goals and the way we played overall. But I think he was kind of pissed with the fact that the goalkeeper had to make 4 saves, which at that point, which each save at a different point could have changed the complexion of the game. Because I think there was a spate of saves that De Gea made when the score was still 2-0, and if either one of those had gone in, it could have been a very nervy 25, 28 minutes or whatever that was left at that time. So, and you yourself said that we just about got the job done. It wasn't as comfortable as we made it to look. So, what is your overall rating on the performance?
6.5 of 10.
6.5. Fair enough. And Josh, what about you? Your rating for United's performance last night?
I would say 7, man. It's a new year. We should be happy that we came out with a win. Physically, we were very dominant. I think we should be like, Bhaiya, come on now, 0.5. What are you going to say? Just give them a 7.
All right, so I think it's 7.5 solely because of the fact that all of the players who were out in the cold came in and gave good performances. So we have a lot of people spamming in the chat, and I think Josh, you are in a lot of demand. I think the Mandem have come out in full force to root for you. In the midst of all that, Durvesh Dada says that Van de Beek might be out for 3 months, and that is indeed a very, very cruel blow if it is true. Because I think he was just on the verge. Maybe if he did have a good performance this game, I think he would have had an extended run in the side. So that's very, very unfortunate. Apart from that, we have a lot of our boys, taking all calling you Jesus the way or whatever it is. So I mean, street Jesus for the win. So all in all, it's good for us. And Kashid Bhai says sure loss. I think that's paying tribute to the performance of Luke Shaw. So now that's the first game of January done and dusted. And I think there is no better way to start January than we did yesterday. A 3-0 win, which also helps our goal difference, brings us level on points with Newcastle, with playing 1 game less. Keeps us 5 points ahead of Spurs, same amount of games played, and 7 points ahead of Liverpool, same amount of games played.
Who are like 7 points behind us?
I think there's this
club called?
I think it's the smaller team of Merseyside, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, the one that we're not playing this month.
Yeah, the one that we're not playing this month, exactly. Yeah. So, with that being said, how important was the victory? Not only from the standpoint of keeping a cushion or keeping your enemies close as far as the chasing pack is concerned for the top 4 race, but also how important was this win in setting a platform for this month? Because I think personally, looking at the fixture list of this month is going to be one of the most crucial months for us as far as our pursuit for Champions League places is concerned. Or maybe this could, if a couple of results do end up going our way, it could be much more than just a top 4 place. So, Saim bhai, I'll start with you. How important was this win from the perspective of setting a standard for this month?
So, see, this win just keeps us positive for the games that we are going into, especially the 2 big Premier League games which we have. These are very 2 big games, especially because of the fact that they are against the top 2 teams currently in the table. And I am extremely excited to hand Arsenal their second loss. So, yes.
Because just in case our fans do not know, we play 4 more games this month. We play Everton next in 3rd round of the FA Cup. After that, we play Charlton Athletic in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, and then we play Man City at home, and then we play Arsenal away. And the reason why I say away is because our record at the Emirates is absolutely shambolic. we haven't won a game in the Premier League at the Emirates for ever since Jesse Lingard, Millie rocked over there. That was when 2017. So that's 5 years. 5 years that we haven't won a Premier League game at the Emirates. And with that being said, let's talk about the Everton game now, the FA Cup game that we're going to play. So, Josh, Everton not exactly in the best of form. They just got clapped by Brighton last night, 4-1 if I'm not mistaken. And overall, they've been rather symbolic because I think because even Bournemouth ended up giving them 4 goals in I think it was the Carabao Cup or whatever. But yeah, Bournemouth did end up scoring a hatful of goals against them. They don't look good. They somehow managed to nick a result against Man City, but after that, it's just been a rough ride for Lampard's men, guy. And I don't think. Do you think that this game will be comfortable, or will we find a way to make it much more interesting and keep Everton in the game for up to a certain point?
I think like considering it's a Premier League team, I don't think Ten Hag is going to take it lightly. But yeah, like Everton have been back, so I hope like we don't make it difficult for us. Even like I think he rested the team probably because he would like probably keep the main team. Maybe like Lisandro gets a chance against Everton, some minutes or something, whatever. And then Charlton is when like the rest of the team gets a chance. So I'm guessing like Everton should be manageable. I wouldn't say easy because you never know in a cup competition, especially if like this sack Lampard right now and we have a new manager coming with the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, like in that case, I would say that Everton should be manageable. I mean, the run of form that we are, I honestly feel that it would be easy. But I'm just going to say manageable.
Yeah. So for those who are just tuning in, Everton are the bigger Merseyside club, and we play them this month. So so I think there is a pattern emerging here, Josh. You just said that Eric Ten Hag did rest all the leading men in the game against Bournemouth to preferably play them against Everton. Do you think that Ten Hag, as of now, as of January, remember that we're not even midway through the season. Do you think Eric Ten Hag is prioritizing winning a trophy now more than ever? Because even in the Carabao Cup, the strength of his team was almost the full strength team, bar a couple of players here and there. And even in the FA Cup, if he does end up putting up something which resembles closer to his first team in the Premier League, do you think that a trophy is high on his list of priorities compared to a top 4 place right now? Because I think he does know that we do have a trophy drought which is going on for quite a while now, and he wants to make sure that is taken care of first. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man, obviously, I think like even Sayam being like a older United fan, FA Cup is like one thing that, you would probably want to win, honestly. And yeah, like, I mean, it's been some time since we've had like a good trophy run going. Surprisingly, the fixtures are in our favor. I honestly thought City is going to get Charlton, even in Carabao Cup, but like we've got it. So might as well get a win. Yeah, I mean, like, also it boosts the morale, no? Like if you get like a trophy, there is something to look forward to next season. Right now, we've just been placing like top 4, which I don't think is like good for anyone's morale in the team. So I think he's also trying to change that. Plus, what he's smartly doing is he's also like mixing the team. Like, Shaw playing as a centre back in like the last couple of games, and then now playing him again at left back, giving Malacia the much needed rest that is needed. Dallet will come back now, hopefully soon, and then basically we'll have him also. But then wan-bissaka has been like pretty good even right now. So I think like even for like the fringe players to kind of like put their position, like trying to take a claim at that position that hey, we've not completely like gone out, we are still at the club and we are very much like in the running for like that place. It's a good like competition that goes on within the club also. So I would be very happy if he prioritizes that, especially now that we are like slightly more comfortable in that top 4 race. Maybe like like by the end of this month we might even be closer to like what we are right now. But yeah, I mean, obviously like a trophy is a trophy, more than welcome.
Yeah, so interesting you spoke about fringe players, Josh, because I think what we've seen in the past couple of months, or even post the restart, that is after the World Cup, we've seen that all the players who were initially cast outs or outcasts or whatever, they have upped their game. And do you think, Saim bhai, do you think that Eric Ten Hag rewarding players based on merit, rather than what has been happening in the past few years with different managers, that the players were just picked for the sake of picking and there is no changes in the squad? Do you think that the fact that Ten Hag is rewarding players based on meritocracy is instilling that competitive spirit among all players, which is why you see all the fringe players. You see wan-bissaka, you see Lindelof yesterday coming out of an illness or a long injury layoff and putting a rather accomplished performance as well, along with Harry Maguire at centre back. Then you see Donny Van de Beek giving good account of himself. Fred has been a bundle of energy all the times that he's come from the bench, and he also ended up scoring a goal against Forest. So all these players who we thought were the maligned characters in the side have suddenly been putting very good performances over the past few weeks. So how much do you think that Eric Ten Hag's propensity or his ability to merit give starts based on merit is instilling a competitive spirit, and do you think this is good in the long run for the side?
Oh yes, definitely. See, being recurring the policy of favoritism in the squad is highly, intolerable for me. So what was happening before Eric Ten Hag was favoritism, that I'll start this player irrespective of what he's doing on the pitch or out of the pitch. So see, what Eric Ten Hag is doing is just not based on the pitch; it's also off the pitch. If off the pitch you are not disciplined, you will not play in my team. That is what he is instilling in the squad, and that is what I like about him. So you have to be professional on the pitch and off the pitch as well. So that is what I want to have in this team, which was there since till Sir Alex Ferguson was there. So yes, I like this approach from him.
I because I have I do have a soft corner for Wan-Bissaka, and seeing him play the way he has been playing for the past few games has just brought a good smile to my face, because I've been a very vocal defender for him, even though he had a very horrible 21-22 season. And seeing him play the way he has been in the past four games, I think he's buying the philosophy of being an inverted fullback in a much more better way than I thought he would. So good for him, and I hope that the level of performances continue. But from the FA Cup, we now move to the Carabao Cup, where we have Charlton Athletic, which for me was a massive surprise. I think finally the organizers in the Carabao Cup understood which club is the bigger club in Manchester, and gave us the draw which was fitting of our stature. For once, Arab money did not work, and I'm all in for it. With that being said, Joshua, how confident are you with United making the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup? Because once you make the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, it's anyone's game. Because apart from us getting Charlton, I think all the rest of the teams are big teams. I think there's City, there's Chelsea, there's Newcastle. So at this point, once if you reach the semis, it's anyone's game. After that, if you win, if you lose, doesn't make much of a difference, because all are Premier League sides. But do you think we stumble against Charlton Athletic? Because in the past, United have been guilty of losing games to lower level opposition, with all due respect to Charlton. So how how highly you rate our chances of making the final four?
Um, Honestly, like it should be easy. This is the game that should be easier, like compared to Everton. I think this is a game that we should definitely like go out and like enjoy, leave a mark on the game, like dominate it from start to end. So I am genuinely hoping that's what we get to see. But yeah, like you said, like MK Dons is still fresh in my memory. I don't want to like jinx it. But yeah, I mean, obviously now the way that we've been playing, I don't think like Ten Hag is going to do a lot of changes there. I think like basic changes, I don't think we're going to see Facundo Pellistri like start this game, or like surprises like those. But yeah, I mean, honestly, that should be a game that we come out confidently and we'll win it. Like I think it should be done in the first half rather than stretching into the second half also. Probably give some well-needed rest to like the fringe players also, and get like some other young players a chance, because it's a big moment for them also, right? Like you would also want to see like some young players getting a chance to play, maybe even an Elanga for that matter, who's like not been doing that well since some time. So maybe like we've closed the game like say by 2 or 3 goals in the first half, and then we get someone to like just get their confidence back. So yeah, I mean, why not?
I mean, I think we United fans are overdue a good old fashioned stat pad session against one of the teams at least. I think it's been a while where we haven't seen a 4-0 or a 5-0, something of that
Who's
sort.
Leeds and Southampton.
But that's been long. No, that's been
Okay.
long. I think
Not,
in this season we haven't seen a good old fashioned stat pad. I
no,
don't
no.
think so. The only game we won with 4 goals is the Aston Villa game, where we
Yeah.
also ended up conceding two. So we are long overdue a stat pad session. I think hopefully the game against Charlton is that one. And one now with these two games done, we come to arguably two of the most important games of our season. Uh, First one is the Manchester derby. I still believe that had the break not been extended in the first half of the season, we wouldn't have lost 6-3 to Man City away. I still believe, but what's done is done. We were horrible right from the word get go in that game, and rightly so. We deserve to lose. However, when we did score the goals in the second half, it was not a case of City letting their guard down, but it was a result of some very slick play between our players, especially the second goal which the first goal which Martial scored, which made it 6-2. There was movement everywhere, and the ball was well worked until Martial ended up scoring that goal. So, uh, and if we do end up getting that result from City, we could be above them in the points table. So there is a lot riding in on that game as well. Saim bhai, let's talk about the City game. I mean, it's on the 14th. By that time, we could very well be in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup and into the next round of the FA Cup if things go our way. And how important is that game at Old Trafford against Man City? Because both teams are at this point fairly even Stevens when it comes to the quality of their first 11, and United are in a very good run of form right now. I think we have won what 6 or 7 games on the bounce, and if
Seven.
at all we consider that we do win the next 2 games, we will be entering that game on the back of a 9 game winning streak. All
Mhm.
right. So, how important do you think? Do you think we need to get a win out of the City game, or even a draw would suffice?
I want to win. I won't go for a draw because it's like I need revenge from them because we were riding so high on our wins, and then the reality struck with the 6-3. So see, capitalizing on City is very easy. If Ole can do it, Ten Hag can do it. So yes, capitalizing on City is easy, but every player has to do their job very well. And one thing I like to add, that one player which I want to see in that game, I don't know if anyone would, if anyone would agree with me or not, but I want to see McTominay in that game. Be it replacing Ericsson, but I want to see McTominay in that game because Ericsson was just overplayed in that game. Yeah, not over, he was, I'm not up to his game, and he was being overshadowed by KDB or Gundogan, everyone in the midfield, City midfield. So I want to see McTominay in that game along with Case. It
I
works.
was I was hoping you'd say wan-bissaka, but McTominay works for me as well. I was because similar player profiles, and the smile on Joshua's face when you said McTominay says a whole lot about how much he loves McTominay. So yeah, I think Casemiro did not play the game against City. So maybe a Casemiro McTominay access could be the one that could just work in our favor. But that is a very intricate topic of discussion which we will keep for another day. So Joshua, keeping in line with the City game, I think so. Let's talk about the previous game that we did end up losing against them. I mean, we were already 4 goals down in the first half itself, and at that point, it was already the second time that it has happened where we were 4 goals down within the first half. The first one, obviously, being the Brentford game. So, what exactly do you think was the difference then, and what exactly are you seeing? Because ever since that loss, United have barely conceded goals. In fact, the heaviest defeat during that time has been the 3-1 loss to Aston Villa. So, what went wrong in the City game? I mean, everything went wrong as far as I'm concerned. But if you could pinpoint one thing that did not work in our favor, what exactly was it?
So two things, like Sayamba rightly mentioned that Ericsson and Malasia, I think like that game they were like overpowered. Honestly, like because everyone at that during those initial matches, if everyone remembers, like those were the two players that everyone was kind of going after, because Ericsson is like we know he's not like a holding midfielder or like so he obviously was targeted, and Malasia was also playing his first probably like big game, so to say, in the Premier League. So maybe like emotions got the best of him. He wasn't like the Malasia that we knew from like previous games where he was like kind of going hard in tackles or like not getting easily beaten or whatever it was. But even then, like that game also we somehow like saved ourselves. But I think like now with like the team playing more games together, because we didn't also have like a good preseason, if you guys remember, right? Like the signings were sort of like came in like quite late. The team didn't have that chemistry going in. Casemiro obviously wasn't playing, and like you mentioned, right? Like I would also love to see like a Casemiro, McTominay pivot. Probably Ericsson as a number 10 and Bruno on the right. Maybe like that could be the team that goes in, because then we would have like proper defense and attack balance. But even then, I think like this time, even the way that City have been playing, I think we do have a chance, especially with the confidence that the team has right now. But yeah, like I think like Ericsson and Malasia are much better players than what they were at that point of time. Not that they weren't good players, but like within the system, I think they've also adapted really well. So probably, yeah, I think those were the two mistakes that cost us and team selection. But I can't like blame Ten Hag for that match because I think we had only few players. Maybe a Ronaldo not playing in that game, but I don't know if like that would have changed anything for us in any case.
I think in hindsight, it was a good thing that Ronaldo wasn't playing that game, or else we would have at least held 7 or 8 and not 6. So all in all, it was a good thing that he wasn't playing. And also, it's interesting that you say that Malasia was playing his first big game. Yeah, because there was a small matter of him playing for the other Merseyside club before. Yeah, so I think I get your drift about talking about his first major game at that point in time. So yeah, obviously the nerves would be there. I still remember that one line that Ten Hag said after the City game, and it still rings. It was like, "Thank you for the lesson, Pep. We'll only get better from here." So I think the City game is the perfect place to actually demonstrate that we have been better since then. So that it could be a very interesting game with a lot of subplots. So Kushagra is asking Haaland ko kaise rokenge. I think that is a job for our boy McTominay. If he does end up starting that game, and Mojo sir says it's time to send McTominay to Keane for a couple of days training. Yes, I can only imagine what the scenes would be if we do have a repeat of what happened to his father. But I hope that doesn't happen, because I hope it doesn't happen because let's just be honest. I mean, we have too much riding on Haaland as far as our FPL teams are concerned. So yeah, with that with that being said, with that being said,
unlike his father, this guy is a proper robot, man. I don't think we can like
this dude is an absolute cyborg. I mean, I think the only things he does in the park in his downtime is just slaughter cows in his backyard and just stand and listen to the Norwegian national anthem and then come back and do his job again on the pitch. That's what the guy does. So I think, yeah, dude, this man is just ice cold. I have never seen a striker get so accustomed to every league that he's played, because every other striker will always miss those couple of big chances, or in Darwin Nunez's cases, at least 1,000 good chances before putting one. But Haaland has not missed a single chance from the time he's entered England. So that speaks a lot about the guy's talent, and obviously that's there for everyone to see.
The last
So
time
saying yeah, exactly.
striker with this capability was Ruud van Nistelrooy. I have never
Oh
seen a
yes.
better striker since then that has this capability.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, Van Nistelrooy at his absolute prime was different gravy altogether, man. Like he was that mix of elegance and brute force together, and then you like just too good to watch, just too easy on the eye as well. So now moving from Man City, we have another big game, that is Arsenal. And coincidentally, we remain the only team to have beaten Arsenal in the Premier League. The only team to have beaten Arsenal in the Premier League. So, and and we play them at the Emirates. They ended up drawing against Newcastle yesterday, but they were unfortunate to get only a point out of it because I watched yesterday's game, and Arsenal should have deserved all 3 points with the way they were playing yesterday. The last night, I mean. But they were amazing. I mean, what a change. Let's talk about Arsenal for a bit. I mean, yeah, it is a little. It could be a little bit talking about our rivals, but I think they do deserve praise. I think initially when they were on that winning run, we all thought that this is only going to be a matter of time before it stops and the same old Arsenal comes out. But to their credit and to their manager's credit, they have been frighteningly consistent. I mean, they have won games which they would have fully lost in the previous seasons. I mean, the game against Brighton, the game against West Ham, where they did go down. These are the games they would have lost last season, but this season it's not the case. I mean, they've just been too good to watch. Saima, what are your thoughts on Arsenal this season at least?
So good. I mean, yesterday everyone was, just before the game started against Newcastle, everyone was like, Newcastle will give them a tough fight and everything. But Newcastle were on the back foot from the minute one. Just the one chance from Joel Linton, which he missed, the header. I didn't see any other chance from Newcastle which was supposed to go in. It was all Arsenal, and had it not been Pope, Arsenal would have scored two or three easily, and they were unlucky as well, especially the
Yeah, exactly.
Martinelli strike.
Yeah, exactly. That the Martinelli header, it was so close to going in, so close to going. I was so close to giving me 5 points as well. But I think FPL bias aside, Josh, what do you make of Arsenal? Because I think the only game where they were not at their best was against us, but still they managed to put up a very good game even against us in that loss. I mean, there was this one spell of 15-20 minutes where Arsenal were all over us and they got rewarded for it when they equalized in that game. So, I mean, what do you make of Arsenal this season? I mean, did you even expect Arsenal under Arteta to be this good? I mean, because it was evident that Arteta is going to be an advocate of the philosophy that he has started ever since his managerial career at Arsenal. And while he was ridiculed massively for it in the initial stages of his in his managerial career at Arsenal, he's now being vindicated for the very same reasons. So, what do you make of Arteta's performance? Arteta at the helm, and this Arsenal team, they just look confident. They look like they take one game at a time, and they do not let adversity phase them anymore. So, what exactly do you make of this Arsenal? Do you see them having any realistic chance of winning the title come mid-April? What do you make of it?
Look, I honestly think that I've become old now, and sometimes I think I've started getting mature. This is until when someone like asks me about Arsenal because I passionately hate them. I think like for Sayam also that must be the same thing, because like when we were growing up, there wasn't like a Liverpool, there wasn't a Chelsea, there wasn't a City till like quite later in our lives. It was United Arsenal. It was Wenger versus Ferguson. It was like that whole rivalry that was panning out. So I can never hope like anything good to ever happen to Arsenal. So I honestly like I was hoping that their banter era continues, and like they keep. I want honestly like one of my most important days in my life is the 8-2. So you can imagine like I would never expect like Liverpool, Arsenal, City, any of these clubs to do well. But yeah, like surprisingly, they've been exceptionally good. Like their fans are a pain to like, but also so are we. But I can't blame them. But yeah, like I mean, like they've already started calling the front three MSN, and they've started comparing this MSN is greater than the MSN of Barca. So I don't know, like basically how to handle them. But yeah, irrespective, man, like Saka's been so good. Like it's so good when you see like these young players like taking the coming into like a big club and like grabbing their chances, taking matches by the scruff of the neck. Always beautiful to see, especially what Arteta's done. Even like when I was watching Ted Lasso, the only thing I could think of was Arsenal, because they also have like the kid guy coming in and giving that whole spiel of like what is supposed to be done in a game and all that. And then Arteta did the same thing. So I don't know how he's doing it, but like somehow, like even that Liverpool game where he put like the speakers out and he wanted like, you know, people to get adjusted to the atmosphere. So I don't know what like goes on in his head, but the players are picking it up. The players are like backing him completely. Like this is what happens when you like, you know, when you have like when you have the players right behind the manager. Also, I think like the smartest thing that he's done is he's gotten like a young core of team into it. So they don't have that ego. They basically want to go out, perform for the fans, for themselves, and even for the club. So I think like that basically has served them really well, and they've done some brilliant signings, man. Like honestly, like I was very surprised with couple of people that like they signed, and even yesterday. But like, see, honestly, now Newcastle has given us the way to, you know, kind of like destroy Arsenal. If you do a low block against them, Arteta loses his shit. It was so fun to see like Arteta, you know, like yesterday he was going full Klopp mode, and Eddie Howe was so calm, like he wasn't giving a rat's ass, if I can say that. But yeah, I mean, you know, he was so comfortable, he was like enjoying it, and Arteta was like, you know, trying to overdo it. That's what happens sometimes. Like if even if we like are not playing our usual style of football, even if we can just frustrate them, I think like they might just make a mistake. Mourinho has already showed us like how that can affect like big teams and all. But yeah, this season I think Arsenal do, like, I'm not happy saying it, but I think they have a chance at the title, especially with like City dropping points. Hopefully they don't, but yeah, then it's City. So I mean, might as well like let Arsenal have one.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that you wanted their banter era to continue. I mean, I think there is this saying that, energy is not created, not destroyed, it just transfers. So I think with Arsenal's banter era coming to an end, I think we also have the rise of another banter era coming. So we can always say that the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. So he's taken away Arsenal's banter era, but he's also given us Liverpool's banter era. So I
He's
think
also
it's
given
it's
us
it's
Chelsea banter era, man. Like Chelsea are
yeah,
making us
exactly. So so
for the
it's
Conference League.
yeah, so it's and well, we always have Spurs being Spurs, so they are the gift that keeps on giving anyways. So I think we are pretty sorted as far as the banter era is concerned. Yeah, so Vijay Dava says that, guys, do you think we have a chance to finish in the top four if we beat both Arsenal and Man City? Now, beating both of the sides is a very, very tough ask. I mean, in spite of the form that we are in, beating both the sides, especially considering our horrendous record at Arsenal, it's going to be a massive, massive task ahead. But I genuinely feel that if we do end up beating both of them, we could be in the mix. But it still doesn't hide or mask anything that we do need reinforcements in January. If we do need to have a realistic shot of keeping pace in spite of the results that we get, in order to keep pace at the same rate, we have to have reinforcements in January, which by every passing day seems very, very unlikely for me. So at for now, the top four is very much in the balance, irrespective of whether we beat both of them or not. Saying by continuing on the Arsenal vein, it's been 5 years that we haven't beaten Arsenal at Emirates. In that period, we've had a host of managers who have lost over there. We've had Solskjaer lose there. We've had Ranić lose there. And we've also had, I think even Jose ended up losing there during his time at United. Not exactly after the Millie Rock, but he did end up losing there as well. So I mean, it has been a kind of a bogey team for us. I mean, because it's strange that you call Arsenal a bogey team, because normally bogey teams are the smaller teams lower down the Premier League table. But Arsenal have been the Achilles heel every season at the Emirates. So, do you expect that to change this season?
Well, see, yesterday I was going through some stats, and I think Arsenal are unbeaten in last 11, and at home they are completely unbeaten in last 10. I think this was the stat. So, what I feel, see, we can beat any team. On our day, we can beat any team in the Premier League. That is not much of a big ask. But given how Arsenal playing, especially at their home, I would even take a draw in that game. But I want them to lose. keeping everything
So
aside, I
you
want
don't
us to
mind
win.
taking so you don't mind taking a draw against Arsenal, which basically means in all essence that we have to beat Man City.
Yes. If we beat Man City, I will take a draw. If we are not, but my biasness is towards us beating both of them. I want us to beat both of them.
All right. I think we all do want to beat both of them, but then I think over the years of supporting Man United, one thing is constant that anything can happen. So with that being said, you don't, in spite of the confidence that Eric Ten Hag has given us in this team, there are still some days where you just don't know which Man United is going to turn up. I mean, I think that's something that has been inbuilt in our DNA over the years of supporting this side. But it is what it is, man. I mean, so Josh, in a scenario uh, where we are not, God forbid this does not happen, we are not able to beat both Arsenal and Man City, but we come out with draws in both of them. Do you think that is a good result in the hindsight of how things are unfolding? Or do you think both draws against both those big teams are still a bad result for us? What do you make of that?
Honestly, I would think that it's not a bad scenario, right? Right. Getting 1 point is obviously better than like not getting any. So in that case, obviously, and like there is like a lot many games to go. I mean, we can't also discount the fact that like Spurs and Liverpool might still drop points, or Newcastle might have like an odd game here and there where they might drop points. So in that case, I think like we have a good season currently. We shouldn't make too much of it. Like honestly, from the fact that like these are two big teams and they are like Arsenal maybe not better than us, but City's definitely got like a team that is like that has the edge. Like they're the best team in the Premier League. I don't think that's a doubt or that's like up to debate for anyone. So in that case, even coming out with like a draw is not a bad thing. Obviously, like all of us being fans, we would obviously want the win, but not a bad thing to come out with a draw, especially after like the team coming back from like this break and like couple of players not being like ready for the Premier League yet. So in that case, maybe you might want to cut them a little bit of a slack, especially I think because like we have a chance to kind of make it to top four this season.
I think you've put it very well. I think you put it very well about the fact that, uh, considering the situation we are in, the fact that we are already discussing about top four, especially after the nightmare of a start that we had, is a big thing in itself. So maybe we temper our expectations and, be cautiously optimistic about whatever is going on at this point. So Aditya Patkar asks, when will Sancho bounce back? I think, as far as I have heard, I think Sancho is already back in England from his individual training in the Netherlands, and I think with the amount of support that Ten Hag has shown towards Sancho and protecting him all this while, I think it's safe to say that when he comes back, he's going to have an absolute monster of a season. Whenever he does end up coming back, I think Ten Hag has given him enough rope to show that I am there. We got your back. Just get out whatever is bothering you or whatever is troubling you, both from a mental and a physical standpoint, because we do need you at for the remainder of the season. And maybe it does end up helping us to get Sancho off hold, and that becomes an entirely new signing for us altogether with the manner he plays. So with all that has happened with Sancho, Josh, do you think that this is more of a mental than a physical thing? Because let's be honest that Sancho did have a very good start to the season. I think because the way that goal against Liverpool, that's proper street football, that sitting a player on his ass and then being so composed and then casually just rolling it in the bottom corner. And then he also scored against Leicester. So there were signs that this was going to be the season where Sancho would take the Premier League by the scruff of his neck. Unfortunately, after he was ignored for England for the squad before the World Cup, that was the international break before the World Cup, I think his performances ever since have gone down on a downward spiral. So how do you think that had something to do with Sancho going down, or is it something much more than that, or something much lesser than that?
It could be probably more, like because he doesn't seem like the fellow, like like with like basically having friends in the team and all that, like that would basically kind of bear him down as such. So I don't think that might be the case. It might be something. It's definitely not physical. Because had that been the case, he would have not been training and like not been away from England. Probably it's the media. You know how English media is towards like most of the England players, especially if they're playing for United. Like you're constantly under the microscope. Why were you not selected to the team? And if you've been selected to the team, if you've not performed, then like especially like after the Euro loss, like everyone's been under that microscope. So maybe like that could be like a reason why he's not selected, or like why he wasn't like been playing that well for United also. Although I think all of us, like as fans, we are expecting big things of him. Like even when Anthony came, I don't think it was like the fans were not like, okay, now Sancho's finally out or whatever it was. Everyone wants both the players to do well. I'm honestly, like you said, like we would all be happy if he like comes back and becomes like a new player. But I don't want to put that pressure on him. Let's see like how he performs, and like if he can bounce back to his levels as such. Otherwise, we obviously have the next season with like better players coming in, hopefully, and better owners also. So in that
Yes.
case, we always have that to look forward to.
Yeah, so I've had this chat about the fact of having better owners or new owners coming in, and I for one do not mind having Middle Eastern owners, So I mean, that to the point, they're very precise. If you are having good games, you will get Rolls Royces. But if at all you do end messing it up, it's very simple. They'll call you to a hotel for an assassination. I'm sorry, presentation about why your performances did end up going wrong. So I think Middle Eastern ownership is to the point. So I would not mind having Middle Eastern owners for us. So Ryan in the chat says the only thing that is constant with United has been the inconsistency. I think to a certain extent at the start of the season, yes. But I think now as the games are progressing, with the philosophy betting in all the players, I think we are getting consistent by every passing day. Because I think in the under previous management, I think we would have ended up, ceding our advantage in that period where Bournemouth were on the ascendancy a little bit. Same thing goes in the game against Nottingham Forest as well, and Wolves. So there were situations in all the three Premier League games where we were under the cosh for a bit, and the older United would have folded away. But this United has the hallmarks of the resiliency that we have been looking for. So right now we are fairly consistent, not fully consistent as well, Ryan. So I get what you're coming from, but I think this consistent run is a step in the right direction. So Ryan also adds that drawing after losing to City is definitely a sign of progress, especially after the way we lost to them. Yes, totally agree. Absolutely spot on. Well put there. Yes, I mean, even if we do end up keeping it a goalless draw, I think it's a massive improvement from holding 6 against them. So yeah, definite signs of improvement. So I think I've spoken almost everything there has to be about how important this month is for us and how it could potentially make or break our season come the end of Jan. With that being said, let's take predictions for the month. Josh, come the end of January, where will United be, according to you, after the 4 games?
Dude, like you're putting me on the spot. I am one of the champions of the Predictors League of the NCR, like the Predictor League that used to happen. And I've been after Sayam's life to, kind of start it again, which he has. But this year I've been just lazy about it. So I am hoping that it's a top 4 thing for us, maybe even a top 3. Just being selfish and going to select top 2 maybe. But yeah, I'm hoping that it's a top 4. At least like riding on like the form that we are, like not because like as fans we would like want to see the best, but like we are in a good space right now. The players are performing well. I don't know how, but like the players are physically looking much adapt, right? Like Casemiro, obviously, like leave him. You can't bully Shaw right now. You can't bully Rashford right now, which I've not seen for quite some time. So in that case, I'm hoping that like let's hope it's a top 4 finish for us. We are winning the league, is what Kushagra says.
Speaking of winning the league, I think I remember this one interview which always makes the rounds, where this guy said, second half of the season we're doing a title challenge. That's the thing which always associates me with winning the league. And, somehow always find it hilarious. But let's hold our horses on that one, Kushagra, about winning the league just yet. maybe somewhere down the line in 1 or 2 months' time. But for now, let's hope that we are in and around the top four. Saima, what are your predictions for United for the month of Jan?
4 wins, nothing less.
4 wins. Wow, that's that's
Nothing less.
with the sheer calmness that Saimbai said. For some it can actually be frightening with the way it's just he did not flinch, he did not think twice, just straight away 4 wins. Gotta love that optimism. I mean, gotta love. So
I am
for me,
biased. I am biased towards United. I won't say anything less.
Show us what you're drinking, Sayam.
I think he's drinking. I drink his sherbet. So for me, I think we are in the semi-final. We will make the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup by beating Charlton. We will hopefully take passage in the next round of the FA Cup as well. As far as the two Premier League fixtures are concerned, I think I'll go with 1 win and 1 draw. I'll be the realistic one here. I think we'll win one out of the 2 games. We might end up drawing the other one, which for us, 4 points out of 6 against Arsenal would not be a very bad result. Winning one and drawing one against the table toppers, I think that won't be a bad result by any stretch of the imagination. And any result against City is going to be an improvement by the 6 that we held against them in the return leg. So I think 1 win and 1 draw, so we get 4 points in the Premier League, and we move into the next stage of both the domestic competitions. So I think
I like
Yeah.
how me and Sayam didn't even remember that we are also in the FA and Carabao Cup by the end of the season. And I was like top 4. Thanks to you, like you remembered that okay, there are 2 other competitions that are happening.
I think the stream has been so fun and so interesting that I think we ended up forgetting that we are playing in all 4 competitions and not just one. but then that's the beauty of this. You do it for the enjoyment, you do it for the vibes. But yeah, we were, and I think this was a very very entertaining stream. We spoke everything that we covered, basically everything that we had to touch upon. And we also have our predictions at the end of all this. So let's just see, Josh, whether you still are the undefeated king of the Predicta or no come the end of this month. I've put you on the spot, and rightly so. We'll just see how hard are the marbles come the end of the month. With that being said, do like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel. We keep on coming out with content like this, and you do not want to miss out. Do check out the link in description. Why do you support gays? I mean, what? Anyways, why exactly? Anyways, do check out our description and do like, share, and subscribe. We will keep on coming out with content on a much more consistent basis. This is just the start. With that being said, we are always active on our other social media spaces as well, on Instagram, on Twitter. You can drop us a follow there. And I say this on every stream, and today won't be any different, but every day is match day on our official WhatsApp group. You do not want to miss being a part of that. Me, Joshua, Saeem, and all of them are constantly active on that. So if you want banter, you want entertainment, do hop in, do join in. And also we have the Joshua was talking about being the king of the Predicta. You do have a chance to usurp him from that position and become the new king of the Predicta if you do join in our website. Where it is specifically made for the fans. It is an immersive fan experience, and you do not want to miss that. There are a wide range of things to check out from Predicta contest to quiz contests. We have our inbuilt FPL tournament as well, where at the end of it, the winner gets something which is much more substantial than what you think of just a normal jersey or whatever it is. There's a blog section where we keep on supplying blogs, so you can go ahead and check that as well. With that being said, this is Delvin along with Josh and Saeem bidding all of you goodbye. Do have a lovely evening. Do have a lovely rest of your day. Take care, and do join us for much more. We will be back soon. For now, it's goodbye. See you, and ggmu for the rest of the day.
ggmu. G